Are you currently learning French and not making progress as fast as you'd like? Turns out there is actually only a limited amount of things that can get in the way of your becoming a fluent French speaker. And in this video, I'm sharing the 7 most widespread French learning issues and how you can get rid of them. If that sounds interesting, keep watching. My name is Angèle Preto. I'm a French learning coach. I eat French learning problems for breakfast, and on this channel, we talk about what it really takes to learn French. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my future videos. So, what could possibly prevent you from learning French as fast as it gets? The first problem we'll look into is 1. Spotty motivation. So, chances are, when you started learning French, you were super excited and you were ready to conquer the French-speaking world. After a while, your motivation started to drop and it became harder and harder to keep studying. Here's why this happens. Long story short, it's natural. As humans, we have a need for novelty. Something new is always more exciting than something old. That's just how it is. As in French, we have a saying like that. We say tout nouveau, tout beau. That literally means totally new, completely beautiful. Also, beginner French students often tend to underestimate how much work it really takes to learn French. So when novelty vanishes and you start to realize how much work it is, then you can get discouraged easily. Here's how you can solve it. So the easiest cure is to remember why you started it. Why did you want to learn French in the first place? Make a list of all the awesome things that you'll be able to do once you speak French, and when you feel your motivation drop, you can read this list again and it should give you an instant motivation boost. I've also made this video about all the ways that you can be motivated on the long run, so if you're having this problem, I suggest you watch this video and apply the tips there. The second problem that people often have is being unable to stick to it, not being consistent, in other words. So you know why you're learning French, and you know you need to study regularly, like you know that every day is better, and you're even motivated, but for some reason you just can't because something always gets in the way. Here's why this happens. In short, well, life. This happens to all of us. Life has a habit of getting in the way of any and all plan that we make. Have you noticed? And so there will always be things, or sometimes people, trying to rob you of your precious French study time. Sometimes it can also be because of spotty motivation, which we also already mentioned in point number 1. Here's how you can solve it. So I've made this video about studying consistently, but here is a quick recap. It's all about making your study a priority. So you need a study plan that's realistic and flexible, yet non-negotiable, and you need to guard your study time with your life. Having an efficient study plan is so important that the first thing I do for every new coaching client is to create a personalized French learning plan for them that will fit their goal, their need, and their actual current routine. And this, by the way, is also the first step when you join my group program, the French Fluency Accelerator. So we take French learning plans really seriously over here. The third problem you might be having is, and I'm sure you didn't expect that one, your goal is to learn French. So many people have a dream or even a goal to learn French. As a language lover and a polyglot, I completely understand this. I myself have always wanted to learn Chinese. Over the years, I've bought a pile of Chinese books. I went to some Chinese classes and workshops. I tried a lot of different Chinese learning apps and websites, and the result is that I know about 5 words and 2 sentences in Chinese. Does this story sound familiar? Here's why this happens. As it turns out, just wanting to learn French, or Chinese, or any language for that matter, isn't really likely to get you there. As I explained in one of my first videos on this channel, I think it was like 3 years ago, the single best predictor of whether you will succeed at learning French or not is how good and strong your reasons to learn French are. So here are my reasons to learn Chinese. I think that speaking Chinese is fancy and maybe it could be useful somehow, like seeing as over 1 billion of human beings speak it, that's good. I think I could use it. Well, that's not a very convincing pitch, considering that learning Chinese will probably take me thousands of hours. I just need better reasons than that, and that's why I'm not learning Chinese. So all this to say, if you want to learn French and you can't really elaborate and you can't tell me why exactly you're learning French, then you're in trouble because you will always have more important things to do. So this is how to solve it. If you've identified that you have this issue a little bit and it's a bit wacky, here's how to solve it. When I create a French learning plan for my clients, the first step in making this plan is always to refine their goals and define very specifically their goals and what they need to learn. Everyone has different reasons to learn French. So What are yours? I recommend this journaling exercise if you have this issue. Write down all the things that you want to do with your future French skills. You want to dig very deep. Every reason to learn French is a good one, and they will all help in your journey. The more reasons you have, the better. So don't skip this step because your results strongly depend on it. Once you have a good grasp of your reasons to learn, you will also be able to use them to keep your motivation high, like we said in point number 1. So that's pretty important. The fourth issue on this list, and that's also a biggie, is learning irrelevant stuff. If you're learning French a little bit mindlessly, right now you could be wasting 80% of your French learning time and effort on things that will give you little to no results. So the 80-20 principle states that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. So this applies to every area of your life, including learning French. I've also made a previous video where I explained this, so I'm not going to elaborate too much on what it is, but here's why it happens. So it happens in parts because many French learning resources, especially for beginners, are not very efficient. For example, almost every single beginner book includes the name of all vegetables, and quite frankly, almost nobody needs that. And another reason why this happens is because what will be relevant to you may also not be relevant to someone else. So this is also the reason why I create a personal learning plan for each new client that I have, because a big part of the success of your study is due to your ability to actually learn the words that will make a difference and ignore the other ones. And it really helps to have a coach that will point you to the words that make sense rather than have you learn just anything and everything. So if you're noticing that you're learning things that are irrelevant, here's how to solve it. The best solution is indeed to get a plan that fits your goal and needs. So you want to make sure that what you learn is indeed relevant. Like I said, it's the first thing that I do with my one-on-one clients, and it's also the first step in my group program. You can also get started for free with this worksheet, which explains the process of creating your plan, and I will put a link down below so you can download it. The trick really is to be absolutely ruthless about what you learn. Don't learn words and grammar rules just in case because it might be useful someday. Learn them only if you know for a fact that you will use them frequently. We have 3 more points in this list, but if you've already learned something new in this video, please click the like button. This really helps other learners find the channel. Problem number 5 is that you have too many unanswered questions. So if you're anything like me, any language study session will trigger at least a dozen questions in your brain. And then you'll try to answer these questions either subconsciously or consciously through Googling. You might even stop in the middle of your study session to try and find the answers. Here's the thing, Google can answer everything as long as you can ask the question in a way that Google will understand. So when it comes to French learning questions, as a learner, this proves surprisingly difficult. Here's why this happens. Your brain is a problem-solving machine. It solves problems by asking and answering questions. So this is a very healthy functioning of your brain. It only becomes a problem when you can't find the answers to your question. So for me, as a French native and a language learning expert, it's very easy to answer any question about learning French. If I don't know the answer right away, I can phrase the right question for Google, and then I can quickly identify a source that I can trust among the proposed answers. But if you're not an expert, it's a lot harder, and many resources are very unhelpful. In fact, one of my favorite compliments about my content is when a stranger emails me to say, wow, this is actually helpful. And this says a lot about the quality of some language learning advice that you can find online. Great language learning website exists, but they're hard to find. So that's basically why this happens. Here's how you can solve it. When I work on a weekly basis with a client, I tell them to write down any question they have on a list and to bring the list to me in the next session. Then I can answer the question in a quick and concise way and point them to helpful resources. If you're learning on your own, it's good to have a few go-to resources, such as a French grammar book that you find clear, and a short list of online resources that you find helpful, like hopefully this channel. And later you'll be able to return to these websites and these books for more guidance when you have more questions. Another helpful resource is my group program, the French Fluency Accelerator. When you join it, you will have access to a large and growing library of workshops about all aspects of French learning. And you also have a Facebook group where you can ask me any question directly, and it's also a great place to go if you're feeling lost at any point in your French learning journey. Number 6 is overwhelm. You know you're overwhelmed when you have no idea what to do next, nothing works, it's too hard, and you just want to quit. Here's why this happens. It typically happens because a mix of the previous problems. Like if you pile up imprecise goals, decaying motivation, irrelevant content, and life regularly getting in the way, then you have the perfect recipe for overwhelm. Here's how you can solve it. Take a step back, breathe, and look at the bigger picture. Then address each issue one by one, starting with your reasons to learn, as we said on point 3 on this list. Or, even better, you can enlist the help of a professional French learning coach like myself. A good coach will be able to give you direction and clear up the clutter. So you'll always know where you're at, how much progress you've made, and what to do next. And finally, the problem number 7 that many people have is not speaking enough. Basically, you don't have many opportunities to speak, or when you do, you're too shy and you can't find your words fast enough. As I often repeat, the only way to speak is to speak. I know that sounds obvious, but that's where we're at. The only way that you learn to speak at the end is to speak. So you know that, but it's still not happening. So you're stuck. Here's why this happens. Basically, we are creatures of habits. Our brains try hard to keep us safely in our comfort zone. If you're sure you ever heard this expression, the comfort zone is basically what we know how to do, and we know what will happen, and it's comfortable. Our brains really work hard to keep us there because outside of the comfort zone is the danger zone. We keep doing what we're used to doing because we believe it's safe. But we also keep not doing what you're used to not doing because we are afraid that it might be dangerous. So if you haven't spoken much French until this point, it will cost you a lot of effort to start speaking French because your brain is just trying to keep you safe and keep you in your comfort zone. Here's how you can solve this. Feeling safe is the most important thing here. It will be much easier for you to start speaking French in a safe, controlled environment. So this is one of the key aspects of my coaching practice, whether it's one-on-one or in my group program. I put a big emphasis on holding a safe space. You can only make progress if you feel safe enough to step out of your comfort zone. Learning a language is actually a very vulnerable experience. You need to be confident that you won't be judged or rushed, especially if you're just starting to speak. You can also create some small challenges to get out of your comfort zone little by little with low risk, such as going to a shop to buy something and only speak French while you're in that shop if you're in the French-speaking area, or send a message in French to a stranger on a language learning app like, for example, Tandem. In my program, the French Fluency Accelerator, the students like to challenge themselves to tell the group in French about their weekend on a live video. This is not compulsory, but we strongly encourage it, and everyone will cheer you on if you do. It's a great way to practice in a safe environment. Here is an easy challenge for you today. I'm going to recap all 7 problems and their solutions quickly, and your mission is to tell me in the comment which problems you've been experiencing and what step you will take to solve it. Ready? So number 1 was spotty motivation, and you can boost your motivation by remembering why you started. Number 2 is a difficulty to stick to your study. The best cure is to keep your plan flexible and non-negotiable. Number 3 is a lack of precise goals and just wanting to learn French with no specifics. You can solve this by knowing exactly what you want to do with your future French skills. And this is also the cure to number 4. Number 4 being learning irrelevant stuff. You want to know your exact goals and be ruthless about what you learn. If you're not sure that it will be useful, then don't learn it. Number 5 is to have too many unanswered questions. It's good to have some go-to resources and or a coach like myself who can answer the questions that you have. Number 6 is overwhelm, and it mostly comes from a combination of the other issues. So the cure is to take a step back and address each issue one at a time. And finally, number 7 is not speaking enough, and the key is to start practicing in a safe space where you won't be judged or rushed. So as you can see, most of these problems can easily be solved by working with a coach, either one-on-one or joining a group program. So again, if you're ready to jump in and make faster progress, I will be very happy to work with you. This is your reminder that you can study one-on-one with me or join my group program, and you'll find all the links in the description below. Else, here is another video that you can watch next, and I will be back next Monday with a brand new one. See you next week.